In the next example, we look at a protractor and use it for describing the properties and relationships of angles formed by parallel lines cut by a transversal. In this example, it's going to be good to see how easy it is to set up a question. So here, we're going to use our ruler to set this one up. Move it onto the workspace by holding the dark shaded region and dragging. We're going to rotate this ruler a bit so we have a little bit of a more creativity to this example. So here we have a line that's not horizontal. Okay, that didn't quite work. So let me delete that line for a minute. Pull that back onto the workspace. Try that again. So holding the marker along the ruler, there we go, along the edge. Now, as I move the ruler up, I know that the angle of rotation is already 12 degrees, so that as I draw another line, I have a parallel line quickly set up. Then as I move the ruler down and rotate it, and then draw a line, I create a transversal that intersects my two parallel lines. Clicking on the ruler, using the delete button on the toolbar, I can now see my example set up quite quickly with a diagram. Using the secondary toolbar measurement tool icon again, I click for and select for a protractor. And now as I pull this with holding the dark shaded region onto the workspace, line up the pivot point with a vertex, rotate that protractor, so rotate down until I line that up. Okay, and there we see that as we line up the protractor, the angle displayed is also 12 degrees in that center circle. So I'm ready to start measuring the angle. So pressing on the dark shaded region, I have an angle eject arrow, holding the green circle and rotating it around to the transversal. I can now measure that angle. As I eject the angle, I have about 47 degrees. Moving around to the next angle. So as I move this to the other side, and as I move my white circle to my transversal, I can now measure my angle between the white circle and the green circle, the two arms. And as I eject that angle, I have 133 degrees. So you can see here that with the accuracy you can get sometimes, you have supplementary angles as they add up to 180 degrees. Clicking on that circle for a 360-degree view, I can just continue around to measure my angles. And so as I hold the green circle and drag to the transversal, and as I hold my white circle and drag around to one of my parallel lines, I can measure in a counterclockwise direction the angle between the two arms and eject that, and I've got an angle of 47 degrees. So the opposite angle, you can see, is the same. So opposite angles are equal, so that property can be discussed. And as I continue to go around and move my arms with a white circle and my arm with a green circle, so that I can measure the angles. Okay, and then eject that angle. I have an angle of about 132 degrees. So a little bit of the problems as children will have with actually using a protractor for accuracy. And there we have 132 degrees. Okay, clicking on the circle to return to a default 180-degree view, I can now move my protractor up to the other vertex and try and measure the angles that are alternating and corresponding with the previously measured angles. Okay, so here we start to measure. All right, so I have as I eject this angle, I have 47 degrees. So we have corresponding angles already. And let me just go to all the way around and see if I can measure one of the alternate angles. Okay, and there, let me just get a little bit more accuracy on this one if I can. There we go. And so as I click for this measurement, I've got 46 degrees. Actually, I can probably get better accuracy here, so I'm going to delete that angle. Whoops. Which angle was that? 46 degrees. Let me just look at that angle again. Try for better accuracy here. And eject that one, and we have 47 degrees. All right, so here, I'm just going to delete my protractor and start to explore some of these angles. And so as I look at the two alternate angles, I can see that the alternate angles are equal, 47 degrees. And as I look at one of the two corresponding angles, again, I can see there's an equality of corresponding angles, 47 degrees. Stay tuned for our look at how to use a compass in our next session.